Alright, so, hello and welcome to Use Reading Corner. Today, because it's a special event, we're going to read something for Halloween. Isn't that right, you? Yes, that's right. Today we're going to be reading The Raven. And because it's going to be nice and spooky, I've prepared a special voice for you. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary. It's supposed to be creepy. It's the Raven. It's supposed to be creepy. But I like the Raven. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as if someone gently rapping. What is gently rapping? Rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. Only this and nothing more. Distinctly, I remember I was in bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I thought the sorrow. Borrow from my books, Sir Thief, or Sir Creeth, I don't know, of sorrow for the lost Lenore. Why do you do this to me, you? Is it to make me suffer like the Raven? Shut up. For the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels name Lenore, nameless here forevermore. So sad. And the silken, sad, uncertain, rustling each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. Some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more." Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir," said I, "or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door, darkness there, and nevermore." I know it was a little creepy. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming, dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was broken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, "Lenore." This I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, "Lenore." Merely this and nothing more. I'm glad you like it. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning, soon again I heard a tapping, somewhat louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and this mystery explore." How the heck do you read this? I've read it before. "Let my heart be still a moment, and this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind, and nothing more." I broke it, I know. Open here I flung the shutter, when with many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saints' days of yore. I can't change it to a sheep. Not the least obeisance? What is obeisance? Made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady, perched upon my chamber door. I know. Perched upon a bust of Pallas. Whose Pallas? Do you know? That's interesting. Just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling by the craven third decorum of the continent that wore. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven? Ghastly, grim, and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lordly name is on the night's plutonium shore. Quoth the raven, much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little reverence bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door, which such a name as. But thy raven sitting lonely on the placid bust spoke only that one, as if so in that one word dead outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather that he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, startled at the stillness broken, so replied, so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it uttered is its only stock in store. Caught from such unhappy matter, from unmerciful disaster, I've just speaking with a lisp, and that's it, for evermore. Till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of never, nevermore. I know I broke it. But the raven, though beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet thinking I betook myself to thinking, fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking. This I sat engaging in guessing, but no syllable expressing, I can't say syllable, to the foul, whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom core. Bosom. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining on the cushioned velvet lining that the lamplight glow order. It did. But whose velvet lined, do not move away, you're reading, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloated o'er, she shall press on nevermore. I know I broke it. Then methought the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen center, swung by a seraphim whose footfall tinkled, on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath let thee, by these angels he hath sent thee. Respite and nepenthe from thy memories of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff, what quaff? Ere this kind nepenthe and forgot this lot Lenore. Quoth the raven, I said, sit still. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempter sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate, yet undaunted on this desert island enchanted. It's very hard to speak in this kind of tone when you're reading those words. On this home by horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, I implore, quoth the raven. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, by heaven that bent above us. If you keep repeating yourself, it's just going to make it worse. It shall clasp a sainted maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels name Lenore. Quoth the raven, be that word or sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked, darting. Get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Are we really on Pluto? Leave no black plume as a token of thy lie. Thy soul hath spoken. I know I went weird. Leave thy loneliest unbroken, quit the bust above the door. take thy beak from out thy heart, and take thy foam from off the door. I wonder if he actually has foam. Quoth the raven, and the raven never flitted, still is sitting, you're still sitting, right? We're kind of sliding. On the pallid bust of Pallas, just above my chamber door, and his eyes have all the theming of a demon's that is dreaming. Ugh. And the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. I just went completely into a lift, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted. Happy now? Alright, well, that would be reading time version of The Raven. Thank you for watching, and as always, like, subscribe, and pass it along so that this channel can get more views.